Welcome to the Avro Heritage Museum podcast, supported by Museum Development North and Arts Council England.
Sergeant Jeff Brown served as a mid-upper gunner on Lancasters in World War II under the leadership of a New Zealand skipper. In today's recording, Jeff shares his still vivid memories of Operation Manna, a humanitarian food drop made in Lancasters to relieve the starving Dutch population in the closing stages of the war. Jeff recalls seeing the civilians, especially the children, rushing to open the boxes that his aircraft had dropped. Jeff flew on these kinds of operations right up to the last day of the war, on VE Day itself. He recalls the gratitude of the Dutch people on the day, with thank you messages spelt out in flowers on the ground, and for the very much longer term. And moving to much more recent times, we hear about tea with King Charles. We're very grateful to the Tameside Talking newspaper for the blind and visually impaired for giving us permission to use their recording. Jeff starts off by telling us about a completely surprise visit to RAF Coningsby.
I really didn't know what it was going to be all about. When we got there, I was told we were going to meet the King.
All right.
There was about 60 or 70, all ex-Lancaster aircrew.
Wow.
And we were seated at tables with men of the Battle of Britain flight in groups of about 8. And the King came in with his entourage, and he came straight to my table, and I was number 1 to be introduced to him.
Rightly so.
Let you look through them.
Photographs of it. Oh, he's here shaking hands with you?
Yes.
Wow, amazing. Wow. And having a chat. Oh, what an experience for you. Or for him as well.
When he come back the next day, he rang me to tell me about this. And then later on that afternoon, his daughter rang, said my dad's collapsed. I thought it was the euphoria and the excitement he'd been through. And he was in hospital. And what it turned out, he had a bowel infection.
Right.
And they said to her, we'll get a surgeon, we can operate, but because of his age, I think you should say goodbye to him.
Oh my goodness. They didn't know what a tough character he is.
So he did the operation next day. Eventually, he goes through the recovery ward and then into the main ward. And his daughter come to meet him, to see him in the ward, and the nurse said, oh, he's coming all right, but he's a bit delirious. He keeps saying he's had tea with the King. And Yvonne whipped out this photograph, and the nurse went, oh my God, and they all come running. They thought he'd had a relapse.
No, they didn't know what a tough guy he is, really.
You can't keep a good one down.
The front row are all ex-Lancaster crewmen.
Oh, wow.
That's me at the end.
God gracious.
Behind us, the air crew and ground crew from the Battle of Britain flight, and the Lancaster behind us.
Fabulous. A photograph that I brought on paper today has got a photograph of our lot with that, but look at you had everybody in there looking after you guys.
Yes.
My goodness.
Towards the end of the war, there was famine in Holland.
Yeah.
Because the Germans cut off the railways and food supplies ran out. And we did, right up until the last day of the war, food dropping trips. This was given us on a visit. And when was it?
1995.
An example of one of the biscuits shows them being dropped and being collected.
So we've got a photograph here of a Lancaster bomber flying over Holland at very low level, and Dutch people collecting these, were they cardboard boxes or something?
They must have been,
huge things, with all the food in. And to my utter amazement, folks, I wish you could all see this. Jeff's got this in a what would you call it? It's almost like a souvenir book here, yeah. Dated 1945, and 50 years later, this has been given to the people who were on these flights. And to my utter amazement, inside here is a little polythene bag with a biscuit in of the things amongst what they were dropping, and it says 50 years ago you dropped tens of thousands of these original biscuits for the starving Dutch, presented to you by the grateful citizens of Gouda, the Netherlands. How absolutely wonderful.
This
Incredible.
is a view looking under a Lancaster bomber. That's the floor. These were fastened together and the food was placed on them, and then it was opened with an electrical release unit to drop the food.
Oh, I haven't seen these before. This is actually the
pictures of it being loaded by day and by night. It was so urgent that they even loaded the aircraft after dark.
Goodness gracious me.
There's another picture of it being loaded, and one where it was dropped. It didn't go down on parachutes.
Oh, right.
They just opened the bomb doors and it all fell out.
So they actually got mostly broken biscuits. Eh? Look, there's a picture here with it all falling out from underneath the Lancaster bomber, because it was dropped out in sling kind of things.
There's some more pictures of them dropping.
Never realised about. I did wonder about this, to be honest. You know, what form did they drop these things in? And here it is. It's all. Unfortunately, it's all. Oh, it's in English down there.
There's a picture
Bits of English that you can read.
On the ground. People waving to them being dropped.
A picture here of a Lancaster bomber having dropped its stuff, and it's on its way down to the ground, and hundreds of people waving to them upwards. And it says, this is a picture which hardly requires a caption. Dutch civilians greeted RAF crews as they unloaded vital food supplies during Operation Manna, May 1945. The mass withdrawal of labour by railway workers due to continuing German demands completely paralysed all food distribution, and by April 1945 the Dutch people were in a sorry plight. Here, JE-C from 195 Squadron, Ratting Common, unloads some of the 6,684 tonnes of food dropped in 3,156 sorties by Lancasters. Wow.
There's an American bomber dropping. That's that picture again.
And there's the photograph again of the stuff on the ground that people had put there in huge letters saying thank you, boys.
From an aircraft, food dropping. See the messages made out with flowers on the ground.
Yeah, this one's taken from quite high up. Some crews reported to have written many thanks on the ground. And here it is. This is taken from a couple of thousand feet up, I suppose.
Not only us did this, but the American force Air Force did it. There's American planes being loaded, and there's an American flying fortress dropping food. You see it tumbling out.
The Americans called it Operation Chow.
Chow? Yeah, they
Chow.
would, wouldn't they? Yeah. So there's a comment here by a Dutch person saying it felt like Santa Claus in May, dropping all this stuff over them. And here's a picture now, a big picture.
What were the conditions like in Holland at that time? It was known as the starvation winter. Thousands and thousands of people died. These are pictures taken of people and children immediately after the war. Look how thin and skinny they are.
Yeah, these are pictures of children taken just after the war in 1945. And there's a picture of a woman here. I wouldn't like to guess how old she is, but there's nothing left of her except that she's still alive, and it's skin and bones, you know. Oh dear. And kids here looking like human skeletons.
Here's a picture of a chap that dropped dead in the street, starved to death.
I read only a few days ago that there were 22,000 people died in Holland from starvation.
That's right. In the last 6 months of the war, yes, 22,000 people.
God gracious me. Horrific.
These were pictures taken after the war or during the war. Kids searching in dustbins for a bit of food.
One of the things that you showed us last time we talked to you, Jeff, was a letter from a young lad. Got you, just like I'm feeling right now, you know, so sad, and yet it was saying thank you.
Yes. Yes.
That makes me weepy.
Yeah.
It just shows the situation that there's been.
Sort of thing that we dropped, collected together.
It's a huge pile of food, which is an interesting thing that I didn't know before. There's somebody's written on these photographs or printed on it that there were eggs, milk powder, dried yeast, cheese, chocolate. Fancy sending cheese to Holland.
Yes.
That they needed people dropping stuff in that they're probably the experts in making. Chocolate, margarine, dehydrated meat, mustard, salt, luncheon meat, tea and beans. All stuff that's been dropped previously. And here's a bunch of kids having a piece of buttered biscuits.
A picture put together on one of our visits of what a day's ration in Holland was like. That is the food for a person for a day.
Yeah, this is a day's ration on this piece of paper that I've got here, and it says a day's ration in April 1945. And there's a picture of it, and there's 2 potatoes, 3 slices of bread, some meat substitute. That sounds appalling, doesn't it? Oh no, that's meat substitute. And a slice of skimmed milk cheese. That's a whole day's ration.
Yeah.
Good gracious me. But what you were doing is keeping people alive.
Yes.
It's something that should never ever be forgotten, that this was going on in our lifetimes.
This is a picture, a message in flowers on the ground.
This is a picture over Holland.
Yeah.
With mostly an empty field.
Yeah.
But they've put together, the people down in Holland have put together these flowers so that they read in enormous letters,
Yes.
"Thank you, boys, for you guys as you flew over." I've not seen that before. That's absolutely wonderful. Wow.
That was the Lancaster crew I was in. That's me at the end. Next to the end, our aircraft behind.
Is this the aircraft you were on the Manna flight?
Yes. Yes.
So you were on Lancaster bombers then?
Yes.
And there's what here, 7 of you?
Yes.
Were you with this crew for a while?
All the time. Never changed.
Wonderful. And they all survived?
Yes. The pilot in the middle,
Yeah.
a New Zealand lad, and I kept in touch with him for many years after the war.
Fabulous.
And Ivan is still in touch with his son, who is at present time an airline pilot in New Zealand, because he had to go back to New Zealand after the war. When he did pilot training, towards the end, he had to do special tests flying on instruments to get that. There were 3 grades of this. It's an instrument flying qualification. This is the first one, called the white card. The second one, when you were more experienced, was a green card. And the third one, when you were very experienced, was a master green. That's a white instrument flying.
I never knew there was such a thing as this. Well, this is your actual recognition that J. Brown, to certify that J. Brown, Pilot Officer J. Brown of the Royal Air Force has met the requirements for the instrument pilot rating, and this is the white card, in accordance with Air Ministry orders. Well, this is from 1953.
Yes.
It's in good shape. I don't think I could keep anything like this for that long and have it come out. I bet it won't. This hasn't changed much since you had it.
That was my
My goodness.
pilot qualification from Canada.
The Royal Canadian Air Force. This is to certify that 2205595 J. Brown has graduated for the Flying Training School, Royal Canadian Air Force, having completed successfully all examinations and practical tests as required in the syllabus of training for pilots course, in token of which he has been granted this diploma, signed by a gentleman called Hodgson.
Squadron leader, I think.
Squadron leader.
Or wing commander.
Right. Goodness. Look at this, I'm still in original nick after all these years.
And that is what we trained on.
These are Harvards, are they?
Yeah.
Are these Harvards?
Harvard.
Yeah. They always remind me of a greenhouse. Why did they need a cockpit as long as that? Was there must have been 2 or 3 of them?
A compartment between the 2 pilots with equipment in, radios and things like that.
Right. Were they designed? What was the objective of these aircraft? Were they fighters?
No,
Bit small for bombers, aren't they?
Trainers.
Trainers.
All the time.
Right.
Harvard trainer. Yeah.
Right. Good heavens. I'm amazed that I shouldn't be, really. I shouldn't be amazed, because you've not changed much in the years since I saw you before.
Yes.
He's still got his hair.
I know I haven't. Mine's long gone. Thank you for the privilege.
Make sure you follow us in your podcast app to ensure that you don't miss out on future episodes.